is maybe important for our listeners to keep in the back of your mind is that in this time of trouble and strife and undecided elections and all those other kinds of things, it's important to maintain a sense of humor.
Okay, want to say a little bit more about that?
Well, one of the things that we look at is so many people are in distant contact with their relatives. They're maybe spending a lot of time on social media. And one of the things that increasingly we're seeing to be true is that social media, more than about an hour a day, starts to really make people feel negative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
And one of the reasons for that is that everybody who posts on social media is either posting the family and I went to such and such exotic place and we had so much fun, exaggerating everything, the crying kid on the airplane, or they're showing pictures of things like, wonderfully cooked steaks or chicken flambe or something, and you're saying, lunch today was ramen noodles, and
the turkey was dry again.
Yeah. So, everybody goes out of their way to make you feel like you're not living the life that they are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a downer.
I saw a cartoon yesterday. We have a husband and wife and a kid and a turkey on the table, and the dad is saying to his wife, "Well, dear, it's not as bad as your usual turkey." the catchphrase was, "Thanksgiving, keeping therapists employed for the last 300 years."
True enough. True enough.
Well, a while ago we took a look at some of the theoretical aspects of humor, and I just want to mention some of that. For example, laughter. We think that laughter is a good thing.
Right.
The more that we laugh, hey, what happens? We get more air into our lungs. We oxygenate the brain. Good laugh gives us some exercise. So humor or laughter has this biological or evolutionary attachment, I think, that's important. So important in terms of laughter is a good medicine.
And if you look at kids under 5 laugh much more than adults do, and they smile a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Takes fewer muscles to smile than it does to frown. And, kids instinctively know that life should be fun.
Mm-hmm. Something that's interesting, too, and we were talking about on the way into our high-tech studio here today, is the happiness index.
Yeah, and I started that conversation by saying that, the United States has never been first in the happiness index, and that's odd because we are the wealthiest country in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So if money made you happy, we should be saying, hey, we're number one.
Okay. Well, it was interesting to see who number one was this year in the year of COVID. It was China, with 93% of the population saying that they were happy. Now, you've been in China, Ralph. Does that ring true?
Well, yeah, Chinese people, one of the things that struck me was that the Chinese children were so innocent. They were kind of like North American children in the late 1940s, early 1950s.
Okay. When we were growing up.
And, while everybody in China virtually has a cell phone, they don't spend a lot of time on them. They use them primarily as phones. What a concept.
Okay. Well, so our country, the country that we are expats from, slipped a little bit. It was number 1 or number 2 last year. Now it's down to, I think, 4th or so. So that's Canada going
Yeah,
down.
and
But I guess it's better than Peru, which was at the bottom of the list.
yeah, and thinking of the South American countries and the Central American countries, the dictator in Venezuela made a public announcement yesterday.
Oh yeah, what did he say?
He said, "Bad news. The crop has failed. We have nothing to eat but lizards.
Lizards?
The good news, there's not enough lizards to go around."
Okay. Well, another theory of humor or laughter is, or kind of loosely put together, is the superiority theories. That is that humor serves to put people down, which is kind of, well, it's kind of negative in a way, because for me to feel better, by putting somebody down, that is kind of a downer.
Well, let me give you an example
Okay.
of that.
Yeah.
Preacher gives a fiery sermon about perfection, and in it he says, no person on earth is perfect. I'd like the congregation, if any of you feel you're perfect, I'd like you to stand up. And he looks around and nobody's moving, and finally at the back of the room, one elderly gentleman stands up. And the preacher says, "You, sir, do you think you're perfect?" And the elderly man says, "No, I don't. I'm rising on behalf of my wife's dead first husband."
Okay. Yeah. Incongruity theories. That's when two things are put together in a way that is, it just doesn't make sense. I have a book here called Plato and a Platypus Walk into a Bar, or a Jew, a Catholic, and a Muslim walk into a bar, something like that. So it's
How about an Amish guy walks into a bar?
There you go. Yep. Another theory. And these theories were put together by Patricia Keith Spiegel, and she's pretty well known in the area of psychology for her kind of metacognition approaches to theories. But there's the ambivalence theory. That's where we might have incompatible emotions, the emotion of love and the emotion of anger, at the same time. Do you happen to have one of those?
Well, how about the guy who says to his wife, "The man from the furniture store is here." And the wife says, "Ask him to take a chair." And the husband says, "I did, but he wants the piano too."
Release and relief theories. That's the slapstick kind of approach to humor, where you just almost get incapacitated with your belly laugh, and just let it all hang out. I used to see a lot of that in Saturday Night Live before they got as political as they are right now. But
yeah,
the old Buster Keaton movies or Charlie Chaplin. What was the movie where the house falls down? And
Chaplin.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's left standing, and the whole facade of the house has fallen, and he came through a window that was open. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Or, of course, we can always think about the Hollywood starlet who was so dumb that she went to the dentist and he put dunce caps on all her teeth.
Another theory that Keith Spiegel comes up with is configurational theories. Those kind of, it's a term that doesn't lend itself easily for me to kind of wrap my head around, but it's sort of a theory where there's a perception of disjointedness, that something that the person is saying doesn't really work. The example I can come up with, two cows are talking, and one cow says, "Oh, what do you think about mad cow disease?" And the second cow says, "I don't think about it. After all, I'm a helicopter."
Very good. Or the guy who goes to his therapist and says, I think we need some help, Doc. My brother thinks he's a chicken."
Oh, he thinks he's a chicken?
Yeah, and I'd like you to cure him, but I'd like you to hold off for a year and a half.
Why is that?
Because we need the eggs.
Yep.
Or the good news, bad news jokes. I've got some good news and I've got some bad news.
What's the good news?
Your ex-wife is getting married again and you no longer have to send her alimony.
Oh, what's the bad news?
She's marrying your boss and you're fired.
There's a release joke in there too. So we see some things that are overlapping, don't we?
We do, yeah. Or Edison, who said to his wife, "Good news, I just invented the light bulb. Bad news, I can't get it to ring."
The last of Keith Spiegel's theories is psychoanalytic. I suppose there are a lot of potential jokes about psychiatrists or people who perhaps are really, really anxious and do something that is untoward. Even the waiter, there's a fly in my soup. What's this fly doing in my soup? "Oh, sir, it looks like it's doing the backstroke." Or, "There's a fly in my soup." Shh. If you're too loud, everyone's going to want one.
Yeah, or the guy who goes into the restaurant and says, "Waiter, I haven't eaten in a day and a half and I'm starving hungry. Bring me a whole chicken." So 20 minutes later, the waiter comes out and he's got a whole chicken on a plate. And the guy looks down at it and says, "Waiter, this chicken has only one leg." The waiter, thinking quickly, says, "Sir, he was in a fight." The guy pushes the chicken to the waiter and says, "Bring me the winner." Man and a woman are at a party and he says to her, "Do you go horseback riding?" The woman, clearly finding him annoying, says, "Yes." Says, "Do you go riding alone?" She says, "Yes." He says, "That's odd. I always take the horse with me."
Okay, we'll put down humor there.
Yeah, and Jim, you and your wife kept horses for a long time. Here's a veterinarian joke. Farmer asked his veterinarian what to do about his horse. He says, "My horse sometimes walks normally and sometimes limped as if it was seriously lame." And the vet said, "The next time he's walking normally, sell the horse."
Sometimes we can take humor and we can relate it to some of the things we've talked about. For example, stoicism.
Uh-huh.
So the Coopers are shown into a dentist's office where Mr. Cooper made it very clear that he was in a big hurry. No fancy stuff, doctor. No gas, no needles, none of that stuff. Just pull the tooth and get it over with. The doctor said, "Well, I wish that more of my patients were as stoic as you. Now, which tooth is it?" Mr. Cooper turned to his wife and said, "Open your mouth, honey."
Okay. Well, thinking of this time when all the gyms are closed, I've got to tell you, Jim, I developed a new fitness program.
You mean the usual one that we use, jumping to conclusions?
Yes, and I've added some things to it.
Beating around the bush?
Flying off the handle, running down a lead, dragging my feet, dodging responsibility, passing the buck, climbing the ladder, wading through paperwork. That one's hard. Pulling strings, throwing my weight around, bending the rules, and pushing my luck. Which maybe was pushing my luck on this joke.
Oh, well, it's how about this one? I was thinking about this yesterday. It was Turkey Day. I was thinking about German food. You know how when you eat Chinese food, you are hungry an hour later?
Right.
Well, when you eat German food, an hour later you're hungry for power.
Okay. Perhaps we should pass that wisdom on to some of our political folks.
I suppose that would be a good place to stop with some of this. But I really recommend this little book, Plato and a Platypus Walk into a Bar. And you've got a book there, Ralph. I don't know if anybody would remember Steve Allen.
Steve Allen was one of the early comedians who had a show on CBS, I think.
Yeah, he was on radio, I think, at one point. People might remember radio. And then he was one of the first television comedians, yeah.
Yeah, and this is called Steve Allen's Private Joke File. And it's got some dandies.
Mm-hmm. You know, I think about some of the early comedians, like Carl Reiner was one, Phyllis Diller, Mel Brooks, and they were all kind of associated with Steve Allen, weren't they?
Yeah, they were, come to think of it. In these times where you're having to homeschool kids, reminds me of the school that was taught by nuns, and she distributed paper and crayons to the second grade class and asked them to draw a picture of the Holy Family. So there were lots of pictures of Jesus and Mary and the baby, and Billy's picture showed 4 passengers in an aeroplane, 3 with halos. And she said, "I recognize the Holy Family, Billy." She said, "But who's the 4th passenger in the plane?" Billy looked up at her incredulously and says, "Sister, don't you know? That's Pontius the pilot."
Around this time of year, I think back to some of my crazinesses as a kid. I thought that in one of the Christmas carols, it was Round John Virgin. So I pictured this little fat guy.
Well, the thing from the church bulletin that is appropriate this time of year, which is Thanksgiving, Thursday, November 24th, will be observed with the service of morning prayer at 9 o'clock. The choir will sing appropriate music. There will not be a sermon. Let us thank God for our blessings.
Okay. Well, our last podcast, as you said, went on for 47 minutes. I think we'll let our good listeners enjoy the rest of their Thanksgiving weekend, and they might say, we're thankful for a 21-minute podcast today.
Yes, and we just want to remind you that you You have to sometimes look for things to laugh at, but you will find them, and they'll be good for you.
Okay, and so until the next time, this is Jim
And Ralph,
saying keep your stick on the ice.
because we're all in this together.